What if everything you've been told about mental strength is completely backwards? And what if the very strategies that smart, high-achieving people use to push through their limits are actually the reason they stay stuck? I know that sounds counterintuitive. But stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you completely changed how I understand psychological resilience. And it might just change everything for you too. Let me start with a question. Have you ever done everything right? You read the books, you practiced the affirmations, you shifted your mindset, you told yourself you were capable, resilient, unstoppable. And yet, at some point, life pressed on a specific nerve and you folded. Not because you were weak, not because you lacked intelligence or effort, but because something underneath all that positive thinking remained completely untouched. That something is what this video is about. But first, subscribe to our channel. Here is the misconception that almost nobody is talking about. Most people believe mental strength is about what you think. They believe that if you can just change your thoughts, manage your emotions, reframe your perspective, you will become psychologically unshakable. And on the surface, that sounds completely reasonable. After all, cognitive behavioral approaches have decades of research behind them. Mindset work has transformed millions of lives. I am not here to dismiss any of that. But here is where the story gets more complicated. Changing your thoughts is often a surface-level intervention applied to a much deeper structural problem. Imagine you have a cracked foundation in a house. You could repaint the walls, hang beautiful pictures, rearrange the furniture, and for a while the house looks great. But the moment a storm hits, those cracks spread. The structure gives way. And that is exactly what happens when people rely solely on mindset work without addressing what is happening beneath the surface. The storm always reveals what the renovation concealed. Now I want to hold up a mirror, because this is the part that might feel a little uncomfortable, and that discomfort is actually useful information. Smart people, high achievers, people who are curious enough to watch videos like this one, these individuals are actually at higher risk of falling into this trap. Here is why. Intelligence gives you the ability to construct incredibly convincing internal narratives. You can rationalize your way into believing you have dealt with something when you have actually just built a sophisticated story around it. You can intellectualize your emotions to the point where you understand them perfectly in theory, but have never actually felt through them in practice. This is sometimes called being trapped in your head, and it is extraordinarily common among people who pride themselves on self-awareness. The painful irony is that the very cognitive ability that makes you successful in external life can become the primary obstacle to your internal development. Your mind becomes so good at managing perceptions that it starts managing your own healing right out of existence. So what is actually going on beneath the surface? Let us talk about the science, and I promise to keep this accessible rather than academic. Your nervous system is not simply a passive receiver of information. It is a prediction machine. Neuroscientists describe the brain as a pattern recognition organ that is constantly anticipating threats, building models of the world based on past experience, and preparing responses before conscious thought even enters the picture. This means that by the time you are aware of a feeling or a reaction, your nervous system has already fired off a cascade of physiological responses rooted in memory and prior experience. Your body has already decided before your mind catches up. This is why simply thinking differently is often not enough. The older, deeper layers of the nervous system are operating on a completely different timeline and a completely different language than conscious thought. They speak in sensation, in tension, in contraction, in the felt sense of safety or danger. And unless you learn to communicate in that language, your mindset work is essentially sending emails to a system that only reads text messages. Here is the hidden mechanism that changes everything. And this is the part I want you to really sit with. Psychological strength is not primarily built through accumulation. It is built through integration. What does that mean? Most approaches to mental strength are additive. Add more positive thoughts, add more discipline, add more resilience techniques, add more motivational input. But real psychological strength comes from integrating the parts of yourself that have not yet been metabolized. The unprocessed experiences, the emotions that got stored because feeling them fully at the time felt too overwhelming or too risky. The moments where you learn to contract rather than expand because expansion felt dangerous. When those unprocessed experiences remain in your system, they create what researchers sometimes describe as incomplete cycles. Your nervous system keeps returning to those unresolved points, searching for completion. And that background processing costs enormous psychological energy. Energy that could otherwise go toward creativity, presence, connection, and genuine resilience. This is why some people who appear incredibly put together can be triggered so easily by something seemingly small. It is not weakness. It is unfinished internal business demanding attention. Now let us talk about the rewiring exercise, because I do not want this to stay theoretical. I want to give you something practical you can actually use. This is a simple but genuinely powerful practice rooted in what some researchers call interoceptive awareness, which is essentially your ability to sense what is happening inside your own body. Here is how it works. The next time you feel a strong emotional reaction, whether it is anxiety, frustration, shame, overwhelm, or even excitement, I want you to pause before you do anything with it cognitively. Before you analyze it, reframe it, or try to change it. Instead, get curious about where you feel it in your body. Not what it means, not why it is there, just where. Is it a tightness in your chest, a heaviness in your stomach, a constriction in your throat, a heat in your face? Just locate it. Then, without trying to fix or change it, simply breathe into that area. Expand your breath slowly, not to make the sensation go away, but to signal to your nervous system that you are safe enough to be with this experience rather than flee from it. Stay with it for 60 to 90 seconds. This sounds almost insultingly simple, but what you are actually doing is interrupting the automatic avoidance pattern that your nervous system has learned over years, possibly decades. You are teaching your body that strong sensations are survivable, that you do not need to escape your own internal experience. And with repetition, that is genuinely transformative. Because when your nervous system learns that you can be present with difficult internal states without collapsing or escaping, your threshold for what you can handle expands. Not because you thought your way to strength, but because you experienced your way there. This brings us to what I believe is the most important piece of everything we have covered today: your identity. Here is something that most mental strength conversations completely miss. Your current psychological patterns are not random. They are rational adaptations to specific experiences and environments. The part of you that shuts down under pressure learned to shut down because, at some point, staying open felt dangerous. The part of you that overthinks every decision learned to overthink because certainty felt like survival. The part of you that performs relentlessly rather than resting learned that rest had consequences. These are not character flaws. They are intelligent responses to specific conditions. And here is the shift that changes everything. When you begin to see your patterns not as proof of your weakness, but as evidence of your adaptability, something opens. You stop fighting yourself. And that cessation of self-conflict is where genuine psychological power actually lives. From that place, you are not trying to become someone else. You are integrating the parts of yourself that got fragmented along the way. You are not adding more to become strong. You are becoming more whole. And wholeness, not performance, not control, not relentless optimization. Wholeness is the foundation of real mental strength. So here is where you are now. You understand that mindset work alone often operates at the surface, while the real architecture of strength lives deeper. You understand that your nervous system is a pattern-based prediction machine that speaks a different language than conscious thought. You understand that integration, not accumulation, is the real mechanism behind lasting psychological strength. And you have a concrete practice you can begin literally today. The only question remaining is whether you are willing to go inward instead of just upward. Because the strongest people I have ever encountered are not the ones who never feel anything difficult. They are the ones who have stopped running from themselves. That is the secret smart people never talk about. Not because they are hiding it, but because most of them have not yet discovered it either. If this resonated with you, share it with someone you think needs to hear it. And if you want to go deeper, like this video and subscribe to our channel.